Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, and I know I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. We've got a special guest on today, Mr. Jim Jimerson. Did I get the name right?
Yeah, Jim Jimerson, you got it. That's it. You got it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I had put out a notice on social media that I really wanted to engage in my local community and see if I could get together with someone who may be pricing things a little bit lower so we could have an open dialogue and, come together and see if we can agree on things. And Mr. Jim Jimerson was kind enough to come down and volunteer his time today.
Well, yeah, I think we've got a lot more in common than not. Well, there's a tendency to divide in the lawn care industry, and it's all based on pricing, and I feel like that's pretty divisive to divide in that manner, and it's not something I want to be a part of.
Well, that's great. I really hope we can, see if we can put aside some of these differences that seem to be plaguing the lawn care community.
Yeah, no, I think you'll find we've got quite a bit in common.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, fire away. That's why I'm here, to answer the questions. That's why I'm here, to answer the questions. Sure, yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Perfect. We'll get right into it. How did you get your start in lawn care?
Well, it was about 2 years ago, and I had just reached a point where there was somewhat of a bit of an emptiness inside of me versus the work that I was doing and what I felt like I maybe wanted to do. And so it looked like to me lawn care was a real good opportunity to not only help others, but to help myself as well, and to do something that I could be proud of, Because that's, at the end of the day, I feel like that's what it's all about, is being able to look at your job and your work and the things you've done with your hands and say, you know what, Jim Jimerson did that, and I'm proud of him. He done good. And so, that's my philosophy in why I got started.
That's awesome. That's a great, that is a really well thought out answer. I love it. Now, when it comes to different aspects of business, some of the popular thought out there is that folks who are lowballers don't really have a firm grasp on business topics. Now, to that point, could you talk us a little bit about the profit margins that you look for in your business?
Oh, sure. So when I look at profit margins, if you pressed me for an answer on that, which, it's something I'm very familiar with being a business owner. So the profit margins, when I look at profit margins, the thing about margins is you got to make sure that when you set them up, they are large enough to accommodate your handwriting. Because if your margins are too narrow, then you won't be able to write your notes legibly, right? So for sure, profit margins, they need to be big enough to write in. And if so, that's my answer as a business owner, well versed in business terminology on the subject of margins of profit.
Okay, that was a unique answer. Thank you for that. We'll move past that. Now, of course, this number is going to vary depending on the time of year and whether you've got fixed or variable costs into this number. But if we are looking at our numbers, what does your overhead normally look like?
What's my overhead? Sure. Well, that's a great question. I mean, most of the time it's my hat, right? That's what's overhead. You see, we got skin cancer runs in the family. Unfortunately, we already lost dear Aunt Sally Mae and Uncle Jebby Doo to skin cancer some years back. So, sunscreen, long sleeves, don't leave home without it, and the hat overhead is the most important thing of all, because that's, it really circles back full circle, 360s, to taking care of yourself. And you cannot perform in your business if you do not take care of your equipment, and you are your most important piece of equipment, is my firm belief as a business owner, well versed in all things business related.
Okay, yeah, another great response. Thank you so much for that. I feel like we may be heading down a different direction than I had hoped. So let's see if we can refocus with the question that's on everybody's mind, right? And that's pricing. So tell us how you go about your pricing, the structure, the format, the philosophy behind it.
Sure. So, pricing's real important, right? And that's where some of this divide comes from. So for myself personally, pricing there's no one size fits all. I'm sure you'll agree, and everyone watching out there will agree with that. So I've actually implemented a multi-tiered pricing strategy that varies dependent on external conditions, such as temperature, for instance.
That sounds really great and practical and useful for others to learn about. So please tell us more about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. Sure. So I'd love to talk more about it. So, for instance, I said it's temperature based. So let's say if it is 90 degrees or less, when I go to a job and price it, my goal is no less than 3 beers. 16-ounce bottles, 20-ounce bottles, whatever brand I'm craving at that particular moment. That's what I'll base that pricing on. Should the temperature fluctuate variantly towards of above and upwards to 90 degrees, then that's when not only is that 3 beer minimum standard pricing on top of an additional 2 bottles Propel and or Gatorade, depending on what the gas station may have. And I really find that way, not only am I able to offer affordable pricing, but I'm really dialing straight in to my hydrational needs as well as my recreational needs as well. So it's a real hard fought battle to have finally arrived at a confident pricing strategy, but I'm certain that I've done it, and I'm very, very happy to participate my knowledge in response to that question.
I think that's about what I expected the answer to be. We're getting to the end here, so we're gonna wrap up pretty quickly. Are you licensed?
Licensed? Since I was 16, Mama said weren't nothing gonna keep me from the DMV.
Are you insured?
You know what? Anybody who asks me, I got a little line I like to give them, a spiel, if you will. I say, I can assure you that I'm insured for you. I really feel like that's catchy, and I made it up myself. But to specifically answer that question, no, I am not insured. I have not, as of yet, reached that level of entrepreneurialism in my business where I have been fortunate enough so as to enact a line of insurance from said insurer. However, in the near future, that's something that right over the horizon, around the corner, I look at implementing so as to further the business conveyance of all my properties towards a safer and more productive environment for all clientele, as might be the case.
Okay, so I know you do maintenance. Are you involved in any type of weed control or fertilization?
Fertilizer, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, floricides, tomicides, pesticides, cripicides, dubicides, migicides, flupicides, flopicides, herbicides. Did I say herbicides? I said herbicides. Tupilicides, all 4 sides, bacicides, aroundicides, roundupicides, corpicides, super size, mega size, ultra size, micro size. I think that might be all of them. The key is really to offer anything that your customers may want, so they see you as a one-stop shop.
So you've, of course, a lot of that stuff you've got to carry permits for, right?
Oh yeah, you'll get in big trouble with the state. I believe it.
Is that something you've got on you right now?
On my person, no, as I shouldn't. I should say I have not. That is not something I carry on my person, no.
But I'm sure you keep it on the truck, right?
I mean, yeah.
Well, would you mind showing it to us?
I can. I mean, the mic. Do you need? I'll
No,
just go
you
run and
keep
get
the
it.
mic
No,
on.
I can
That's
keep
fine.
it on. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll run and get it right now.
And just to be clear, you are coming back, right?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm coming back for sure. Hey, one question. Just out of curiosity, I had taken a peek in the garage and saw all the equipment you had. You keep it with padlocks, right? Yeah. Where, just to compare business minds, where do you keep the keys to those padlocks? I mean, is that something that's always on your person, or like one of those drawers, for instance?
Jim, I need you to leave now.
Yeah, I think I'd better go.
I'm so sorry.
All right, looks like we're filming. Now we're cooking with grease. We're cooking with fire. Lost dear Aunt Sally Mae and Uncle Jebby Doo